I paid $11,000 for this, a 1992 GMC Typhoon, one of my favorite SUVs of all time. When the Typhoon came out in 1992, it was the fastest SUV in the world, and even after it was discontinued, it held that record for over a decade. I mean, this thing beat Ferraris, Corvettes, Trans Ams, it beat everything. And that's because GM decided to turbocharge a 4.3-liter V6, and it made 280 horsepower and 360 foot-pounds of torque, and they're all-wheel drive, so talk about a dig monster. But although mine looks pretty, it's not beating anything right now. Now, I've never ridden in a GMC Typhoon, let alone driven one. It's been one of my dream cars since I was a little kid, so in this episode, I hope to get this thing back on the road. It does run, but to get it to run wasn't easy. Oh, look at that thing.
Oh yeah, look at all that stuff.
Oh, it's running bad, but it's running. Okay, it died. All right, guys, so we have a 7-hour trip back home to Chicago. My totally mint condition and supercharged 3500 Express van is definitely up to the task. So let's hit the road and hope nothing bad happens. Here we go. Supercharged Chevy Express, always ready to go. 9.1 mpg. That was coming up here with an empty trailer, so this should be fun to see what we get. I'm guessing 6. I don't know, what do you guys think? Guess my miles per gallon. All right, I just reset. Take a guess in the comments. It's a 7-hour ride back, so this should be a pretty good test. I am starving right now and also super disgusting from working on the Typhoon. I'll admit, it's a shameless plug, guys, but seriously, even if these weren't mine, I would recommend these shop wipes. They are phenomenal. Obviously, I don't have any running water or any way to clean my hands, but I have my shop wipes in my van at all times. It's phenomenal. I'll leave a link down below, guys. They're awesome. Look at how clean these hands are. And even worst case scenario, if your hands are super nasty, these will clean them right up. All right, now I get to eat my pistachios. I'm not old varnishy fuel and dirt. Here we go. We got about 15 minutes through the forest. It's very windy. It's pretty dangerous. Yeah, this should be fun. Whew, this thing's gonna get no miles per gallon, is it? Bumpy. We made it out. We're about to hit the highway. It did 6.8, like literally going up and down in the forest. So, man, we might do all right. Maybe the van doesn't care if there's a Typhoon on the back. All right, guys, I've driven, I don't know, a couple hundred miles, 22 gallons worth of fuel. I'm at a gas station. Obviously, this is where you get gas, and people are already asking questions about this. It's such a cool truck. Like, everybody's just head nodding, like, yeah, Typhoon. I get it, I would do the exact same thing. But everything is looking good. I just checked over all the straps. We're solid, we're good. Place your guesses on the fuel mileage. It's surprising. Check this out, 9. And I got a bad tire pressure sensor. But 9 mpg. So basically the van is not affected at all with the Typhoon on the back compared to just the trailer. And I mean, the ride with just the trailer was a lot of miles. It was many hundreds of miles, more than we've driven right now. I don't get it. Can you guys explain that? Scientists out there, do you know why? All right, guys, we made it back to the shop. I'm sorry, I'm not good with the travel vlogs. Nothing happened, everything went great. And the Typhoon, we pushed it into the shop and it's on the rack. You know, I don't fluff stuff up in the videos with the whole travel thing, and then we're petting dogs and eating food and all that. All right, now I get to eat my pistachios. We don't do that. We got stuff like this to do. We have to get to real work. And it's got to start with ripping out some garbage, and then we're taking this all apart, turbo included. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Typhoon time. So before we start cutting stuff off and taking the intake and intercooler and everything apart, we're draining the coolant, which is kind of getting all over the floor. I cracked it loose. I tried to get a hose on there. There's no real good way, so it is what it is. But the coolant looks pretty good. So we'll let that destroy my floor while we work. No, I'm gonna remove the hood. It's just 2 bolts on each side. All right, guys, I got the hood. It's actually pretty light, factory carbon fiber. GMC hood, I'm just kidding. Okay, don't ruin Typhoon. I rested it back there. We're good. There's roof racks and everything, so yay. Ooh, so much better lighting for you guys. And I don't have a hood to mess around with. This is great. I think this is gonna be one of my favorite tools in this video because we are just chopping wiring left and right. Goodbye. This powered the fuel pump originally, and it was running the entire length of the Typhoon like this. So I'm very lucky the car didn't catch on fire. But I'm just gonna tear everything apart and just fix things as we go along. There's a Ford breather. I mean, get out of here. Look at it, they just RTV'd it in. So we're definitely gonna give this the LSC treatment and get rid of all the hackery. And the goal is to get it to, well, drive. So in the last video, we did get it to run. Man, this runs horribly. But as you can see, it didn't run the best, and we need to fix that too. Okay. This has got to go. This goes red to yellow to blue. Oh, and then to yellow again. Great. Okay, where does this go? Got a lot of trace backs to do. Guys, I'm almost positive that they wired the fuel pump, the engine fans, and the intercooler pump all on the same exact relay. I think it's all on this. This is nuts. What? What are they doing? What is wrong with you? Oh man. Did you guys watch the Cobra series, by the way? I pulled out, you know, a really big pile of wiring and just started over on that project too. That's what we're gonna do here. We're definitely gonna make a pile. We'll see which one's bigger at the end. This has gotta go. Oh, yes. All right. Starting. This is a factory power distribution block, so it's kind of cool. We got a lot of options, but not these options. Goodbye. Oh, that's my favorite tool. Don't got time for this.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, come on, get out of my Typhoon. There we go. Woo, that's a nice one. Something just came in the mail for the Typhoon. My new tires from PriorityTire.com. So these bad boys are from 1999, and so they definitely need to be replaced. And PriorityTire.com has the largest selection in tires. I went with the Hankook Ventus V2 this time. The tread pattern looks great. The reviews are amazing. I actually used Hankook on the DeLorean as well because they come in sizes that fit these older cars. But I order all my tires from PriorityTire.com, including these Continentals for the GTR. I already installed the rears on the GTR to test fit some new rims, and they're awesome. If you guys are looking for new tires, definitely check out PriorityTire.com. I'll leave a link down below, but it's so easy. You can search by size or by vehicle. So let's say you just bought a 2004 Jeep Wrangler. I just totally picked that at random. They'll show you the original equipment size and plus sizes, of course. And look at this. They have page after page after page of every tire you could ever imagine, and for every budget. Look at that, there's like 42 pages. But of course, they have a filter for all of the brands, so you can search for whatever you'd like. Oh wow, those look pretty mean. So the selection is amazing, and have I told you about the deals? This is the only company I've seen do this. You can get a military discount, first-time buyer discount, they have first responder discount, and they keep you up to date on all the promotions and factory rebates. Check this out, you would never know. No one's gonna search the internet for these, they tell you right there. Look at that, Mickey Thompson, you get 125 back right now? I've been using Priority now for over 2 years. I have their tires on the van. These things are super quiet, and it's been a couple years now. They look great. I think half my fleet has tires from Priority. The Caprice has them too. Look at how nice these things are. You guys are seeing sneak peeks of other videos, but here are the Hellcat tires on the rims. And if you look past the bumpers, I bought these bad boys from Priority just 2 days ago. Their shipping is totally free and super fast. Sometimes I get them in 1 day. Those were 2. You can't beat that. I'm going on a quick parts run. I got the other 2 mounted on the GTR. These things are so quiet. The Continentals are phenomenal, and it's raining out too, and this thing still grips. But anyway, best part, you guys click on my link down below for PriorityTire.com and use code LegitPT1124. You're gonna get 5% off your next set of tires. So take advantage of the deal. It is limited time. Check out PriorityTire.com. Let's get parts and back to the Typhoon. This stuff is factory, yes. I think this is all factory. Okay, that's cool. This is some kind of vacuum line that's broken off. All right, factory goodness. Oh, MSD, you know where you're going. You're not gonna be multi-sparking nothing. I don't think this thing was working anyway. I disconnected it in the last video. Now we're just gonna remove it. This is gonna take out a whole bunch of wiring. Guys, I highly recommend you buy an old car that's been kind of hacked up and just unhackify it. Man, does it relieve stress. Here's the ground for the MSD on the factory oil cooler housing. This is actually the oil filter housing, but these hoses run to the radiator. So this has an oil cooler running into the radiator and transcooler on the other side. They weren't messing around. All right, there's a lot of stuff feeding off this alternator too. And one of them is the MSD, that's this guy. And then is this factory? Oh yeah, that's just factory. And, oh, okay. Never mind. Oh wait, no. Whatever this is feeding off there. Let's get rid of this. We're going back to stock here, people. Back to stock. And by stock, I mean not stock at all. I'm gonna keep this modified and probably do some other ones, but we're just gonna redo it all and do it nicely. Oh, this is gonna be a big one, guys. I got a big one. This is like a 5 5-pound husky. I like fishing, but I don't know anything about fish. Would that even be good? If it was a 5-pound husky, is that like impressive? Is that even a fish? Husky's a fish? By husky, I meant musky. We just got a dog recently, so I got dog on my mind. All right, this is like insanely woven into the fabric of this car. This is insane. Can't fish this thing through. Darn husky. All right, guys, yeah, there we go. Okay. Try to get away from me. Ah. There you go, little husky musky. Man, we could like fit a whole new turbo in this area now. Look at everything we've cleaned up. This is beautiful. Guys, that would be really cool. Look at this. I mean, they would mirror each other. It'd be perfect. GMC, what were you thinking?
All right, we're draining the intercooler right now. This is sweet. It has a drain right in the front, and it uses the air dam to funnel it down into your Home Depot bucket.
And I popped the cap off of here, and we're just flushing everything. So we're gonna remove this intercooler. Although the hoses are in good shape, I don't like whatever they did here. I'm gonna remove the intercooler now. There is more hackery of wiring underneath here. We gotta take this off anyway, so that should shed some light on the situation. And it's still draining, so I'll probably just kind of leave this. Oh, yeah, it's urinating right now. Yep. All right, where is this hackery going right now? Oh, is this going into the factory loom? Part of it's going to the engine coolant temperature sensor. So this is factory. It looks factory. They just tapped in something. What in the world? This wire is not factory. This is not factory. No way. Let me take all this tape off. All right, well, here's what I found. There's an inline fuse and a little zip tie here. Let's cut this and see what we can separate out. I think part of this might be factory. This really thin wire, it was going to a ground here. It's also going to the factory boost controller. This is just the boost solenoid, I mean, but yeah, okay. I think I figured it out. This is all aftermarket, all of this stuff. And this looks to be some kind of ancient boost control system right here. This is the factory boost solenoid, and guess what? This connector here is all part of this mess. This is our factory connector that's going into the regular factory engine harness, and it plugs right into here. Like that. That's how it's supposed to be. They must have been trying to control the boost with some old school boost controller in the car somewhere. I followed this mess into the car and it doesn't plug into anything. So I think they must have taken that out, or, this car was a theft recovery car. So, all the stereo stuff was stripped out of it. They could have stolen a boost controller as well. So goodbye. Garrett intercooler is coming off. There we go. It's a little guy. Throttle body coming off. Goodbye. Man, I was gonna do something really cool and like pull this away. I do that in videos sometimes, but it didn't work out. Vacuum line on the bottom. Whoops. Now, goodbye. The Platinum's pretty close to coming off, actually. We just have throttle cables, so you just have to push in these clips and they will come right out, like so. All right, so now we just have bolts for the Platinum. They're 1/2 inch too, which is kind of cool and American. On the driver's side, they give you a little cutout here. Very nice of them. And this is the last one. Total of 5. Will it fall? Will it fall? Will it fall? Nope. Yeah, I didn't see these from my angle, but we got 2 more on this side. All right, theoretically, this should come right off now. So easy, so nice, so cute. Look at this little guy. Aw. I'll disconnect all the injectors. We're gonna pull the fuel rail and then the bottom intake. So far, so good. This is looking really nice and clean. All right, we have 4 bolts for the fuel rail. And if you guys were around for the reveal of the Typhoon, you saw us take that off and replace the injectors. So we know those are good. But let me know in the comments section, are we gonna find a smoking gun for why this thing barely runs? It's running on like 3.5 cylinders. I don't think GM had displacement on demand at this time. I'm about to pull the rail and I found this. That can't be factory, of course. And I've just disconnected pretty much everything from the factory engine harness. We're just gonna move it over, get it out of the way. And we gotta take a look at this injector harness. I think they hacked into that for some reason. That could be why it's not running right. Fuel rail coming up. Lose a little fuel, no problem. So the Typhoon's awesome and has a full return system. This is actually the feed, so we're gonna loosen that up. So feed line is out. See if that gives us room. Ooh, that O-ring is destroyed. Look at that. That was a fuel leak waiting to happen. I'm gonna like nickname this car in Fuego or something. Like it should have burned down for so many reasons. With this up, we can pull our injector harness. Oh, jeez. Well, that's something. That's a wire in the injector harness that's just not plugged into anything at all. Oh, get out. No way. Is this all corrosion? Oh, wait, this is straight up. Is this broken? What is going on here? We're going to continue to unravel with the backdrop of the beautiful Oldsmobile that was rained on. I've actually been driving the crap out of this Oldsmobile. It's like my daily driver. I absolutely love it. It needs to be here for all of the Typhoon discovery. They're the same year. They're like brothers. Typhoon,
Meet the International Series, or Edition, or what is this thing called? International Series. Sorry, Oldsmobile, I forgot. I don't know what they were trying to do. They tapped in the spade connector, they cut one of the injector wires, and basically hijacked one of them to run to something else. I guess if we figure out where this goes, we'll know sort of what they were trying to do. This could have been some weird way where they needed injector signal for some antique tuning software or something. Oh, speaking of that, you want to see what was included with the purchase of this beautiful GMC Typhoon? Let me show you. So inside of this gem of a 90s backpack, look at how cool this is. I'm totally gonna use this. We got this right here, a very, very old laptop. We have a disk drive with disks and Windows 95, Windows 98, that's way too new. All sorts of other CDs, recovery CD, and this guy, because this car at some point had an Excel engine computer, and this is a book on how to use it. Look, I mean, even when this magazine book thing was new, the guy is even old. And look what he's tuning. That is so cool. Anyway, this is the very, very beginning of tuning. Look at this stuff. This is so cool. That's definitely an LS car. And what year is this thing? Oh, what is this? Okay, yeah, so here we go. Instructional manual, including LT1. 1895 in the US and 28 in Canada. That's gotten a lot closer in the last few years. I don't know, this is probably from the late 90s, and I'm dying to know if this thing will fire up, so I plugged it in a little while ago. It keeps on doing the same. This might be broken. Darn. We have to get this to work at some point, guys. This battery's probably way bad. The warranty expired June 8th, 1999. Darn. Just missed it. Anyway, this is as far as we're getting, guys. It won't boot past that. Okay. Whoa. Geez, sorry. Is it alive? No. Okay. Oh my gosh. We gotta do the hidden power button. Probably just, I think that's safer. Yeah, let's continue on. But one day I'm gonna get this thing working. I'm probably not gonna use that computer to tune it with. We're gonna tune it in a little bit of an easier fashion. All right, I just connected the return, so our fuel rail is coming out, and this is a Bosch made in Germany regulator. It's probably still good. Oh my gosh, okay, stop leaking fuel, stop. And we're gonna be pulling the distributor out to get the intake off, but also because we wanna check inside of this cap, see what the rotor looks like. And we're gonna do all new wires as well. This one has a bunch of tape on it. That's not good. There are two 5.5 mils to hold on this MSD cap. What are we gonna find? What are we gonna find? I'm really hoping for a bunch of green corrosion with the rotor and the cap. That'd be fantastic. That'd be a good smoking gun. Too is why this doesn't run that well. But how is it? How is it? Ooh, there's definitely some tracing in there. You see that? That's not good. What's this rotor? Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think a lot of moisture got in here. That's for sure. And then this is an ignition module. So let's disconnect that, and this one here goes right to the coil. There we go. That's a nice little sub harness. Another connector here. These ignition modules go bad all the time too. I'm gonna get rid of this guy too. Oh, I hope this transmission's okay. Fluid's a little rough. All right, so we're gonna be pulling this distributor and maybe replacing the whole thing. I'm gonna take a picture right now of exactly where the rotor is pointing. So as long as we don't crank the engine over and we put the distributor in exactly the way that it came out, we won't have to mess with timing. Worst case, we gotta start over with that, not a big deal. All right, we're gonna pull the bolt for the clamp. Did I lose it? Did I lose it? Nope. There's the bolt, and there's the hold down. You'll see when we start to go up, because the gear is helical, this will move. So when you go in, you kind of have to do this a few times, like so we know we'll point it in this general direction, then it should go down nice and easy. But anyway, let's get this distributor out of here. Get out. Is that RTV? I think that's RTV. Yeah, for sure. Okay. This could have been why this thing was running bad. This is very rusted, the pickup here. Who knows what's going on. We'll take this apart, but these ignition modules, they go bad a lot. We're definitely gonna get a new belt on this thing. The tensioner feels great though. And I wanna take the tension off of the alternator because we're gonna remove a bracket and the thermostat housing. Woo. Give it some direct power. There we go. Oh yeah, she fell down. Okay, yeah, this is definitely aftermarket. All right, now I can remove this, and I'm gonna be replacing this entire hose. I don't believe this factory rusted tube is stock. Let's just get this out of here now. We're not gonna keep it. Goodbye. Put this in the wiring pile. Oh, what is this? This looks like something from the ocean. Oh, this is nasty, guys. What is this stuff? It looks like shells. Like some kind of creature from the ocean. Look at this. Are these rocks? Oh man, that's not good. Yeah, we definitely need to get this intake off. We have some grounds here. That's nice and factory. Anytime you can put a bolt back, put a bolt back. One last thing to keep track of. I have some feathers. There were definitely some birds in here? I don't know. Bird people, what kind of bird did this come off of? Because the color of the feathers is like radar blue, which was a Typhoon color. Is this a radar bird? All right, we got a bunch of bolts to remove. And by bolts, I mean, well, nuts in this case. These are nuts. These are bolts. All right, these are studs. It's easy to remember. Oh, this is funny. Someone kind of messed up the pressure sensor doing exactly what I just did there with their socket. Surviving. It's time to pry this intake manifold off. Wow, someone really glued this on, I think. Oh, jeez, it's not even making any creaking, crackling noises. Wow. Oh my gosh. Guys, this thing is just glued on like crazy. It doesn't even need any bolts. This is nuts. This is by far the most stuck intake I've ever had. Come on. Oh, man, that is like some direct pryage right there. It's a real word, pryage. I don't know, that's on there. It's just RTB'd everywhere. It's time for the big guns, guys. This Sonic set of pry bars is just awesome. They're huge, but also different shapes and stuff like that should get in there. Let's try this. Oh my God, seriously. Oh, I did it, yes. Haha, these things are not defeated yet. More leverage. Oh, I see push rods and lifters, cool. Yeah, nasty intake, get out of here. All right, we have push rods, we have lifters. Everything looks straight and fairly clean, no sludge or anything for the engine oil. I can't say the same though for the coolant passages. That is really bad. What actually is this though? I don't think it's buildup. It's like an actual piece of something. Let's see. What in the world? It's like an alien egg. Did I just discover life on Typhoon? Listen guys, we don't know what this is. So there is a possibility that this is an alien egg. All right, can you prove that it's not? Just saying. Goodbye, alien. All right, let's keep on taking stuff apart. I want to get these valve covers off. We can see if it has aftermarket rockers or anything. I don't know what is going on here, by the way. This cannot be factory, right? This could be the fresh air intake or the PCV system, but it just goes by the transmission like that? That's weird. I'm hoping once we get the valve covers off that we can see a stamp on the heads, maybe some aftermarket rockers, see if they did anything to this engine. We have the receipt in the glove box from 2002, and someone spent like $4,000 back then on a whole new engine, which it can't have that many miles. I think it was stolen in like 03, and then it sat since then, basically. So this engine's like probably really new. It's got no oil leaks whatsoever too, which is neat. I'm making room right now to get the valve covers out of the way. We're gonna be removing the turbo anyway, so we'll get rid of this. And I wanna remove this steel braided feed line as well. Nice and easy, please. Just spinning all together, yeah. I held the bottom fitting with another wrench, so this will spin off easily. All right, this is getting out of our way. This turbo does say Garrett somewhere on it, and it has an aftermarket downpipe and the super old school wastegate that's adjustable, which is kind of cool. But I want to take some measurements and see what it is for real. Let's get this hose out of here. I don't know what that was, but it flew up in the air. Get out of my way, harness. Look at this rusted valve cover. You know we are painting this. This is a 3/8 to get this valve cover off. I totally didn't walk back and forth to my toolbox 3 times to find that. Just knew it from memory. Valve cover coming off. And a nice blue gasket, cool. All right, stock rockers, that's kind of what I expected, but it's nice to see everything is clean, and there are some part numbers that I can run right now. A popular modification on these was to run a slightly newer cylinder head. I think it was the Vortex cylinder head on the Typhoon engine. So let's find out if we have that. Hey Google, do I have Vortex cylinder heads? Let's see. Hey, thirdgen.org, always coming to the rescue. All right, guys, we have stock LB4 GM heads. That's our part number. And I guess a popular upgrade are the 92-93 L35 heads and the 94-95 L35 heads as well. I guess you can put Vortec 96 and up on these, and you might gain like, I don't know, maybe 15 horsepower, something like that. I'm gonna stick with these for now. We should probably get this engine just running before we start ripping heads off. Everything so far looks to be in great condition, and like I said, we got a new engine. Next, I wanna tackle this turbo, but I think I'm just gonna take all the front end accessories off. I already checked, there's no refrigerant in the AC system. Yeah, it's bone dry. This is R12 as well, so we'll have to convert it because I want my AC working. Let's get this AC compressor out. Not on the back, it's actually 3. So we have 3 really long bolts, and this is really interesting. Not entirely sure if this is stock, but one side of the bolt head is shaved down flat, and that's so it can pass by the pulley. So if you went this way, it gets jammed in there. It's pretty cool. All right, I got all the bolts out. This thing is really in there. Definitely needs some shimming on this guy. I'm trying to be gentle. I don't want to ruin this awesome sticker right here. Oh, there we go. Just needed some more muscle. All right, There's our R12 AC compressor. It's really nice looking, actually. All right, we're gonna take this pulley out. Okay, just went out way too much into the fan. Excellent. Go right back in and retrieve my tool. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do this manually now. There we are. Oh, this is getting cleaned up. I'm cleaning everything, guys. I just took the lower radiator hose loose. Yeah, this is gonna be messy. And it's got a spring in there. It's not too bad. Definitely flushing this system. All right, we have 3 bolts to get this whole bracket off. Last bolt. Okay, this is getting clean too. Okay, just lost a nut. We're gonna clean up this intake manifold. It needs it, and don't do this, people. Don't put this much RTV on stuff. I mean, I can't even get the gasket off. This is crazy. This is cool though, 7/19/91. Any July 19th birthdays out there? Oh my gosh. This is so bad. This is so much fun to scrape away, let me tell you. I mean, it's satisfying. It's just, man, it is a lot of work. They really glued this on nice. Safe to say this was never gonna leak. Didn't even need bolts, honestly. Get off. Don't go in though. Get out, get out. We're gonna put this in my blast cabinet that I've had for like a year and I've never used it. It's a media blast cabinet. It's pretty neat. And I'm gonna use it to clean a lot of stuff in the Typhoon. This is the first time I'll be using it. Very exciting, but I don't wanna contaminate all my media, so we're gonna take off all this big stuff. We're gonna blast a bunch of stuff on the Typhoon and make this engine compartment look mint. Let's do a little test here on this bracket. Ooh, yeah, this side's nasty. Toss it on in. Close the door. All right, let's see what happens here, guys. Ho, ho, ho. Yes. No way. This is the first time I've ever owned a media blast cabinet or a sandblasting cabinet. Oh man, my life just got way more complicated. I'm gonna wanna blast everything. That's kind of part of the reason I never hooked this thing up. I'm like, once I get this, making videos is gonna take me like 10 times longer because I'm gonna wanna mint out everything. Never thought I'd be so upset about something that's looking so good. This is crazy. Take it out of the oven. Oh, mint. This thing was all rusty before. Wow. All right, I'm definitely gonna paint this too. I mean, guys, this valve cover, it's gonna look brand new. I can't wait. I'm just gonna go ahead and, yeah. I took the rubber grommet out. Here we go, here we go. Oh, instant. Wow. Oh, man. This is too good, guys. Wow. I'm gonna be like an absent father probably now. I'm just gonna sandblast everything. This is the mixed emotions I have right now, guys, I've never had before. I'm happy, but I'm also very just like, what did I just do to myself? I'd like to recommend you guys get one of these, but also like, I don't wanna see you get like divorced because you just spend all your time in the garage cleaning car parts. This is awesome. Oh yeah. Wow, this is great. I gotta go wash this off. So it's a very, very important step, especially with an engine part like this, because we don't want media to get inside of the engine. So even though I didn't blast the inside, you know it got a bunch of that stuff in there. So we need to thoroughly clean this with water. I wouldn't skimp on this at all. This is a very simple setup though. It looks like there's just one big baffle and that's it. All right, once clean, we'll use our blue blower. This thing will dry this up real quick. Yeah, we're gonna get the pressure washer involved here. Woo! Getting a little wet. I just cleaned up the bottom of the intake manifold mating surface. I wanna take off as much gunk and old gasket and RTV as possible before we get it into the sandblaster because I don't want to contaminate all of my media if I don't have to. And now I'm gonna get this alien stuff out too. Get out, alien planet, get out. Intake manifold is ready. I pulled out the temperature sensor and a pipe fitting. It's cleaned up as best as possible. Intake going into the chamber. And I bought this dust separator kit. That's gonna help. It was getting kind of cloudy. And it's called a Cyclone dust separator. Just like the GMC Cyclone. Coincidence? I don't think so. It's a little louder now with the vacuum, but the visual effect is still there. Woo! Clean my intake. Ooh. Hey, we'll be able to see the firing order now. Look at that. Well, except I'm gonna paint this black too, so yeah. Stuff's coming off pretty easy. Someone else, I think, had painted this not in the best way. All right, I gotta figure this out. You lose some media every time I open this thing up. Shake some of that off like we have. You know the drill. We'll blast this with water, clean it up really nice, dry it, and out to the paint booth she goes. The rest of the parts I'm gonna paint all together, but I just wanna get this one done because I'm a little kid and I can't wait. But I've had it out in the sun for about 10 minutes just to make sure there's no water. And it's a beautiful sunny day, so I'm out in the paint booth ready to go with some engine paint. So we're gonna do a primer and then a satin black enamel up to 600 degree temperature rating. Now, if my Typhoon engine ever gets to 600 degrees, I'm not exactly gonna be worried about whether or not the paint sticks to the valve covers. It'll melt into one big ball of lava. All right, here we go. We're gonna do 2 light coats of the primer. So this is gray. This will actually look pretty good too. After 2 coats of the primer, this is what our valve cover looks like. It's time for some satin black. And we're gonna do some light coats, probably 2 of these. So after your first light coat, it's normal for it to look speckled like this, and then I'll wait about 10 minutes. That's good. Do another light coat now. It's been about 10 minutes. This is gonna look so good. All right, it's been another 10 minutes. This is gonna be our final coat, and this is the wet coat, so we're just going a little heavier and closer to the part. Oh yeah, brand new valve cover right here, people. I'm gonna let this dry for a few hours. It's only been about 10 minutes, but this is pretty much what it's gonna look like. I love the satin black. It's a very OEM finish. Anyway, I'll blast and paint a bunch of stuff later. Let's get the turbo off. I want to determine what we have. It looks like this turbo has some kind of flange adapter. Normally it would mount right to there. We'll take a good look at it once we get it off. Right now, instead of messing around with this return hose, which doesn't want to slide off the turbo, we're just gonna cut it like that. All right, I got the double wrench action going on because this is a little rusty. I sprayed everything down, but let's see. Oh, not bad. All right, cool. That one's loose. Will we get lucky again? Let's see. Yes, all right, cool. Before I get too crazy down there, I have to remove all the bolts for the downpipe. These are coming nicely too, and it's totally missing a clamp right over yonder for the exhaust, but we need to remove this anyway to get to a spark plug. Thanks, Typhoon. I got all the bolts out for the downpipe. Man, this thing must have had an exhaust leak like crazy. Look at how loose this is with no clamp down there. Might have to take the turbo off first to get this out. That's okay. I'll get this air filter situation out of here. There's the filter. No, there's not a ton of room in here to get this elbow out. There we go. All right, elbow's gone. I've removed the 4 nuts for the turbo. This should come right off now. Oh yeah, nice and easy. Oh no, what is still stuck on here? Oh, it's a ground. Oh man, that is so dumb. Look at this.
Oh, look at that.
Someone bolted the engine ground to this nut right here. Okay, what is leaking? What is leaking? No, stop it, green coolant. Get over here. All right, luckily this broke free pretty easily, so we can remove this ground. We're definitely gonna relocate it as well. I don't like that. They're not back though, so we don't forget. Now, our turbo should come out, and we have to measure this wheel. And this wheel, how's it spinning? Ooh, that's nice. Any shaft play? Nope. This turbo's in good shape. So my goal for this truck is like 400, I don't know, maybe 450 wheel, something like that. I'm not going for any records. It's already gonna be really fast. Like, I believe a Typhoon with around mid 400s is like a high 11-second truck. That's good for me. So if this turbo will do it, we don't have to replace it. That'd be kind of cool. You know how much I love period correct mods? This is period correct. This old school adjustable wastegate is also period correct with a phone number on it. I dare you guys to try and call that phone number. I wonder if that company still exists. Applied Technologies. I don't know. Oh, but what I do know is that this downpipe should easily come out now, except I forgot the vacuum. Okay. There we go. Cool. Our downpipe is out. Our wastegate is rerouted into the downpipe, so we won't really hear that open up, which is fine. I like blow-off valve sounds on some cars, but the dumping of the exhaust, you know, just straight out for the wastegate, I don't know. While the Grand National watches, we are going to dissect the Typhoon turbo. I wanna measure the wheels. I did a quick measurement. It looks to roughly be a 62 millimeter on the turbine side and a 65 millimeter on the compressor. So that's actually pretty good for this 4.3 liter V6. This should make some decent power, but it's a little oily in here. So let's take it apart and check the seal. Before we take this apart, I'm scribing into these 2 halves because you do wanna clock this the way that it came out. There we go. And we're gonna use our center punch on the exhaust center section. Put a little dot there and then line it up perfectly on this side. Okay, cool. So we have our marks there. We have our marks right here. We're good to go. We're gonna start off on the exhaust side and take out all of the bolts. This is gonna go kind of slow because I don't think I can fit a socket in here, but once you break them free, they do get pretty loose. There she is. All right, so some of these bolts you can't take out, but everything is loose. We just need a few love taps. Yep. And 1 once this starts to shimmy off, then we can remove these bolts. They need a little bit of room. So you kind of got to work it, loosen it up a little bit, and then move back. There's another one right here that I can't pull out just yet. And now with this loose, we can twist it too, and then take these bolts out. All right, that's coming off, that's coming off, and we'll slide this out. Here's our wheel. Let's measure. And we'll zero out our mic and do one of these. Yep. Like about 65 millimeters on the exhaust side. That's good. I don't think the turbo has any internal leaks actually. I think it's mostly just this drain. We'll have to do a new gasket. And man, this thing spins so nice. There's no shaft play at all. This is in great shape, which would make sense if there was a new motor put in. I bet you they did the turbo at the same time. All right, let's continue on and take this cover off. All right, let's take this off. It's getting in the way of one of our bolts and we need to reseal it. Couple love taps. Cool. Now we can get to that one. Turbo coming apart some more. There we are. Here's the inside of the compressor housing, and here is our compressor wheel. Now this applies to both wheels, but there are two measurements to take. We have the exducer, which is the largest part of the wheel. That's 76 millimeters, and then the inducer would be the smallest part of the wheel, which is 57 millimeters. So typically when you hear someone say, I have a 57 millimeter turbo, they're talking about the measurement on the compressor side. You can get really technical with this. Technically, we should say we have a 76-57 on the compressor side, and then I think the back is much closer. It's like a 67-62 or something like that. In the Typhoon world, this would be a 57 millimeter turbo, which is a very popular upgraded size for these. And it'll help me kind of figure out exactly what this is, but I would say this turbo would definitely support, 400 wheel. If we can just rebuild it with new seals, I'm gonna roll with it. All right, something else we're gonna mark that I think may have already been marked. It's really hard to see, but we need to mark this wheel with this shaft. So this shaft is gonna be attached to the exhaust wheel, and we wanna make sure that these line up exactly the way that they were because these two are balanced as an assembly. So very hard for you guys to see, but there is a faint line right there, and then there's a little dot on the top of the shaft. So I'm just gonna make those a little bit more apparent, and then we can take this nut off. And this could have very well been done at the factory because they should mark these. Yeah, just make that a little shinier, and that too. Cool. So now we need to hold the back side. So this is a 19, and we'll hold this side like that. A lot of Loctite on there. And this one is not reverse thread. Some of these are reverse thread, so definitely make sure if you have reverse or standard. So you can see here now we can twist these separately before they were one unit, and we'll give it a shimmy sham. Come on now, don't drop it. You gotta be really gentle with this stuff, but sweet. Is this a billet wheel? Oh, nice. We got stuff written in here with date codes and everything. No way. Look at this, December 2nd, 1998, PTE, so that's precision. I guess it's got another date here too, 804-97, something like that. What does this say? Something wheel. It says C wheel, compressor wheel, okay. So back in the day, Precision and Garrett had like hybrid turbos. I don't know exactly what the deal was there, but I've seen this before where the hot side is Garrett and the cold side is Precision. So this is a PTE turbo. We know the sizes of the wheels, so we might be able to look this up and kind of find out some airflow or power numbers. A couple love taps. We'll break this free so we can pull this guy out now. Yeah, I'm glad we're taking this apart. Needs a good cleaning, that's for sure.
To check the status of a...
Calling Precision right now. That's just like an on-hold song. I don't even know what that is. Sounds like a good song. I should write that one.
Please hold while we connect you to the next available agent.
Is that my song? That's my song. They stole it. Or is that a famous song? Stole my song, Precision. Jeez.
Please record your message.
Hey guys, you stole my song. I haven't heard back from Precision yet, but I think I found the turbo right here, a PTE 5731, and this will definitely support my goal. It's rated up to 565 horsepower. Well, we got our turbo kit in the mail in less than 24 hours. Pretty neat. And I took out 4 bolts that were in here so we can remove this. Okay. There's our thrust washer right there, fell out. And here is one of the rubber seals that we'll be replacing. Actually, what we're gonna be seeing is that some of these seals are not gonna be rubber. They're gonna be kind of like piston rings. So you see that split ring? That is a seal. I've cleaned everything up and laid out all of my new parts. So now we get to start installing some of this stuff. First thing I have to do is remove this tiny little C-clip. And I do not have a tool small enough to get this out. So I'm gonna use a couple of picks and we'll just hope for the best. So I ended up going with a pick and a flat blade. There we go. Well, that's gone. And this should come right out like that. So if you guys have heard of newer ball bearing style turbos, this is the originator. This is a journal bearing. And this is our old, this is our new, and there wasn't really any play in anything, so this isn't bad, but we got the whole kit. And it was only $60, it includes everything, so let's go ahead and put these in. We're getting the 100-year-old gas can in the mix here. We'll spray a little oil there, and we'll lubricate this as well. And then it just slides right in, we'll push it down. And in the new kit, we get new C-clips as well. That'll be fun to reinstall without the proper pliers, but we'll get there. Ah, did it. Yes. All right, 90-degree pick in a pinch does help out big time. I took out the clip from the other side, and now we have our second journal bearing to replace. And this one just slides in the same exact way, just like that. Next, we have a flat rubber seal that we're gonna install like this. After the seal, we have this guy right here, and we have a new thrust washer as well. This only goes on one way. It has a couple of dowels also, just like that. We're gonna install a new thrust washer retaining clip now. It just pops out and they give you a new one, and it's just a press fit. So I'll push it down like that. Once it bottoms out, you're good to go. Now we have a seal on here, and this is actually more like a piston ring because it is a metal seal with a split. You can see right in there. So we're just gonna gently pry this out. Get out. All right, 2 pieces. She's done. And here's our new seal. Just gotta be really gentle with these. So I'll just slide it right over, and it'll snap in. Just like that. We'll oil this guy up. And when we go to reinstall, we just want to make sure it's not getting caught up on that ring, that little piston ring, if you will. Okay, so you just push it in firmly and it should spin nicely. We have one more of, I'm just gonna go ahead and call these the piston rings because it's basically what they're doing. We have one more of these to replace on the shaft. So we'll gently pry this off, kind of go around in a circle. There we are. I cleaned up the shaft, and now we can slide on our new seal, like so. You'll be really gentle with these. They can break, so I just kind of like to roll them. If you can use your fingers, more power to you. Got it over the hump. We got one more. Get on there. There we are. Cool. She's done. Now it's just a matter of reinstalling everything back onto each other. Like that. The kit came with all new hardware, so we have new bolts. We can reinstall our heat shield. A little bit of oil here on the shaft, and we can gently slide this in. It's gonna go past the 2 journal bearings, and then we're pushing it past the seal as well. Just like that. We can go back together with the compressor wheel. You guys remember we marked this. So I'll slide this on, and if I hold the bottom shaft, I can line this up perfectly. It's gonna be right about there. Use a little Loctite on the new nut for the compressor wheel, and we'll thread this guy on. The initial torque is 18 to 20 inch-pounds, basically stopping when it bottoms out. That's so little. I'm holding it in the vise this time, might be a little bit easier, but next is 125 degrees of rotation. So I'm gonna start with a 90. That's a 90 right there. Okay. That's good. All right, so the whole turbo rebuild is done. We obviously have to reinstall the compressor housing and the turbine housing, but I'm gonna restore those first. We're gonna take the power steering pump pulley off. And so we have our power steering pump pulley puller. Say that 3 times in a row. Power steering pump, I can't even say it once. Power steering pump pulley puller. Power steering pump pulley puller. Power steering pump pulley puller. All right, with some effort, I was able to get the power steering pump pulley off with the power steering pump pulley puller. It is right here with the bracket. It's all blasted. I just got done blasting the bracket. We're gonna paint that with an aluminum spray paint. I'm in the process of cleaning the AC bracket, and now it's time for this behemoth of a water pump. The water pump is pretty easy, just 4 bolts. And if you don't take the pulley off, you get cowbell.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Everybody needs more cowbell. All right, if you see coolant coming out when you take the bolts out, that means these bolts are gonna need some thread sealing when they go back in. Floor's already messy. Just 4 bolts for this bad boy. Look at that. How's she look? There's some stuff in there. Nothing wrong with this water pump too, by the way. It feels good. Look at that, it was black at one point. I must say, now that this is all stripped down and bare, I'm getting so many ideas while you're in there ideas. We should probably push the Typhoon into the wash bay and we'll mask off the engine and go to town with the pressure washer and just clean this up. It's mostly stuff you can't see, you know, like grime like this, but man, we could really mint this out. Look at that. We can clean all of this so easy. And by easy, I mean, it's not gonna be easy. We're gonna make a gigantic mess, but you know what I mean? We got to do it. I'm going to just continue to pull out stuff that I know is getting replaced. It's like this hose. That's definitely not a coolant hose. I don't know what that is with a, you know, some kind of plastic connection. We're replacing all the spark plug wires, so let's get these out of here too. Yes. Get out.
All right, we're pushing the Typhoon in the wash bay to clean a lot. It's actually pretty light. This truck is like 3,800 pounds. That's crazy. That's like an F-body. Typhoon's in the wash bay. Battery was low on the E55, so that's running in the background. And you know what? Before we clean all of this, I'm gonna clean up the engine too. I don't wanna do that later and then get stuff everywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna start off with razor blading some of this big stuff off. And here's what I took off with the razor blade. I covered up the valley. We have paper towels in each port. And then we're gonna use the softest white bristle plastic cleaning disc. And this is an iron engine, heads included. We can be a little bit more aggressive, but there's really no need. Light pressure and we'll clean this right up. So we're gonna get a smooth and shiny surface like this without removing any metal. The intake mating surface is clean, so now we can cover this back up. Everything is covered up. Any sensitive electronic parts like relays back then, they weren't weather pack connectors, so that's all covered up. This professional strength engine degreaser from Amsoil is amazing. So we're just gonna go ahead and spray this and we're getting everything. It's gonna be nice and shiny and clean in here soon. I gotta go get a new can. I'm running out, but it's good till the last drop. Wait till you see the aluminum here. Here is my arsenal of brushes to clean up this engine compartment. My favorite have to be the ones I sell at LegitStreetCars.com. Just kidding, no, but seriously, these are awesome. These drill brush attachments are super affordable. They work great. And then just a bunch of random stuff. I'm pretty sure I used this in the shower before, and this I stole out of the kitchen. These brushes just kind of get in everywhere, and they're very gentle too, so we don't risk scratching anything. Look at all this nastiness. Check this out. Our gearbox isn't leaking, but it's kind of nasty on the top. Not anymore. Might as well clean up the mating surface for the water pump as well. You know I'm gonna get carried away here. You know it. Where do you stop, guys? I'm gonna do this for the next hour or two, and then we'll blast it off. Just finished up cleaning the engine and everything else. It's pressure wash time. I think some of the paint on the front timing cover is coming off with just water. That's good. Woo! Look at that frame. Oh man, that is beautiful. We'll clean out the heat exchanger. It's looking good. It's looking good. I'm gonna put a drain pan under here. I just wanna flush out some of the block while we have the water pump off, so we'll catch any coolant that might come out. I blasted everything. Let's clean some coolant passages in the block. I flushed every single port, including the back ones as well. And I cleaned those. I don't know if you guys remember how nasty they were, but here it is. And now they're all cleaned up and water has been ran through each one of them. And it's looking like that. So I think we're in really good shape with cleaning the block out. Look at how nice I got the frame. I definitely have to paint that though. So now we need to dry it. And I think that's the key to a successful engine bay cleaning is just drying everything right away. That way you don't get any rust buildup on, well, stuff like the frame. Look at how nice I got the aluminum lines. All right, this is taking a while, but I have blasted all of these parts and all of these parts. So everything here in this paint booth is gonna be silver and everything in this paint booth is gonna be black, but it all starts off with some primer. All right, here we go, intake. So we've covered up anything important. We don't want to get paint in the injector hole. I really like using the high temp primer when you're doing engine parts because these are very susceptible to peeling. So anything you can do to help is good. Every part out of the sandblaster was washed and it'll flash rust if it's steel like this. Now I'm probably gonna get a turbo blanket, but we're gonna paint this anyway. We are keeping the old school adjustable wastegate. The top part I've masked though, it's aluminum with that old school sticker. I'm gonna leave that with a little patina, but everything else is gonna look new. Turbo is getting painted as well. And you know what'd be really cool? If we painted the compressor housing of the turbo the same gray color as the intercooler and the top plenum. They're like a dark gray. I'm getting that matched. I'm pretty much painting only the part of the throttle body that we'll see. It's gonna get kind of crazy to disassemble the whole thing. It's the next day. I've let everything dry with the primer. You don't have to do that. You can spray within the first hour, but you have up to 24. But anyway, this is the silver paint we're gonna use. I'm gonna get the darker silver for this, but I'm just gonna give it a coat of this as well. It
It's basically the same color as the primer. That's hilarious. It's got a little bit more metallic sparkle to it. The color is literally cast aluminum. I wonder what this is gonna look like when it's dry. It's very, very shiny right now. Am I gonna have metallic flake parts? All right, while that's dry, we're gonna move to our completely separate paint booth for everything that's going to be satin black. Don't worry, there's no wind, it's gonna be fine. But I'm just doing the light dusting. For the silver, it's hard to tell where I even painted. I really think the first coat, the light dusting where it looks speckled, is the most important. It like sets the tone here, the base. Literally. 10 minutes later, our base coat is dry, and I'm gonna start laying it down a little thicker. We're gonna do 3 total. This intake is gonna look mint. Oh, I love this, guys. This is so much fun. All right, who out there has restored a car? Let me know in the comments. What was it? How many have you done? How long did it take you? I love hearing about this stuff. If you guys have ever been to a LegitStreetCars meet, you know I can talk cars for literally hours, just all day, forever and ever. This stuff is just so much fun. I'm going a little crazy, masking everything under here. I'm gonna paint, and I wanna get the cowl off. And you stick a drill bit inside of the wiper and just kind of wiggle. Ah, okay. Got that? Now this can come off. This is a nicely painted metal piece, so I wanna keep this in good shape. I just wanna touch up the back of the firewall here. I think we can make this look really good. I'm gonna match the rest of the truck because it is in good condition. I have a lot masked off here. This is all cleaned. We plugged up the ports for the water pump. I'm gonna paint the whole front of the engine. I think I'm gonna do some of the exhaust and the frame and probably lots of other little areas like that. This is metal. For the exhaust manifolds, we're gonna use this. It's a flat black and it protects up to 2,000 degrees. So all this stuff has been degreased, and I like flat black because it helps blend in areas that aren't perfect. I'm not gonna sit here and sand down all of the manifolds and remove them and stuff. We're just doing a quick little touch up. And quite honestly, once everything's back together, you definitely cannot see any of that. But we're still gonna make it look pretty. Yeah, the flat black really just blends right in. It's nice. Goodbye, ugly manifolds. Bouncing around a little bit, but we have our first coat on the exhaust manifolds. On the engine, we're gonna use the satin black engine paint. We'll do a light coat first. It's already looking a million times better. We have our power steering pump. Again, there's literally a pulley that covers up most of this. We'll use the satin engine paint on the frame as well. Oh yeah, sweet. For the cowls and the top of the fender liner, we're gonna use SEM trim black. This is an OEM satin finish. So nice. It's stuff like that that I'm trying to cover up. This is not pretty really even from the factory, but we'll make it look nicer. Way better. Do some light coats first. Well, after a couple of days of getting carried away, the Typhoon's back over here, and I've done multiple coats on everything, but take a look at the front of our engine. So this used to look like this, and now it looks beautiful like this. The top of the fender liners weren't looking the best, and now we have something that is much more presentable. Granted, everything will be covered up. The exhaust is painted, the frame is painted, the steering shaft is painted. I even painted the horn. Here's everything that's going back on that's in black, and here's everything that's in silver. And right now, I'm gonna work on this Cyclone. It's seen better days. We're gonna use the satin engine enamel here. Spray a little inside of a cap. I'm gonna use our little touch-up dabber. We'll soak it in there. And this has been cleaned and prepped and degreased, so we're ready just to go ahead and paint. And yeah, this is gonna look really nice. Doesn't matter if we get a little on here, we are going to sand that down and kind of polish it. All right, I'm just gonna keep filling in the Cyclone letters here. Here's what the Cyclone 4.3 turbo looks like right now. I'm gonna let this dry, and then we will sand the very top. While that's drying, I got a paint match from the top of the intercooler. So we have a Ford color, medium earth, and hopefully that matches, but we're gonna paint the compressor housing. Let's see. I think that looks about right. Well, let's find out. This thing's already prepped up, so we got our first light mist coat going on. I'm done painting the compressor housing. It's still drying, so this is gonna be a satin finish. It'll look kind of more like that area, and the match is pretty spot on. This is obviously dirty, but yeah, they did the color really, really nice, and we gotta paint this. I also masked this off too. We're just gonna go ahead and spray it so that it lays down really smooth inside of the Cyclone 4.3, and then I'll paint this as well, the intake. I'm just gonna paint everything. All right, here we go, and I ended up changing it to a gloss black. I think that'll look really good. Our factory Garrett intercooler is prepped and ready for some paint. I do think I'm going to sand down the Garrett right there and have it be nice and polished. I think that'd be nice. All right, guys, it's time. It's time to reassemble our beautiful turbo. I can't wait. And this is pretty simple. I took some pictures on orientation for things like the feed and the drain, but we slide it over there. This spins nicely, no shaft play, we're good. And we don't need to use these brackets anymore. This was for the original internal wastegate. The kit gives us new ones. And they just slide in like that, and we have new bolts. Bolts and brackets are installed. They're not fully tight though, because we might need to clock this ever so slightly once it's back in the truck. Now we can install our beautifully painted compressor housing. So we have a new seal. And oddly enough, the old turbo didn't have this seal at all. So anyway, kind of hard to install. It pops out. Stay. Hold on, I think I gotta hold it. Stay. Yes. Turbocharger rebuild is done. I installed the drain. The old flange had a crack in it, so we got a new one. And we'll be able to clock this thing once it goes back together. So let's start putting it back together. Guys, I'm freaking out. In just a few minutes for you guys, these 3 beautifully painted pieces are all gonna be sitting next to each other. This is so cool. First thing that's gonna go on is the intake manifold. So we have new gaskets, and this is another table full of parts for the Typhoon. Some of this stuff is going on in a future video. We have performance mods to do. But filters, hoses, belts, all that good stuff is right here. All right, intake manifold gaskets are on. You know we're going with the AMSOIL engine flush, and anytime I can just pour it directly into an engine, I will. So it's going right on the camshaft, but it's gonna mix in with our crankcase little back there too. And we'll do one of these, get it on the lifters. We'll get it everywhere. Flush. So this engine is super clean and might not really have any miles, but this stuff on a car that's been sitting for a long time works miracles. On the DeLorean, we poured it in and just black gunk came out. It was awesome. Something that's very important on this engine and Chevy small blocks and stuff of this vintage is you need a very thick bead of RTV here. They specify a 1/4 inch of RTV. So you're basically building a wall just like that. All right, intake is going down. There we are. And once we tighten this, we might see some RTV come out. That's normal and good in this case. Intake's on, and I'm just doing a couple Alex clicks. Click, click, click. Next is the distributor. So we're replacing this rusty one, and we'll get a new ignition module out of the deal and a new cap and rotor. It was like 120 bucks for the whole thing. So I did take the pictures of exactly how the distributor came out, but I just want to show you guys really quick how easy this is. So we're gonna move the crank so that cylinder 1 is at top dead center. See this line right here? We're gonna spin this. I'll also be able to paint the bottom side there. And right there. Right there, this is the 0 degree mark. And I just want to show you that you can have 2 TDCs here and one of them is incorrect. We have the exhaust valve that is pushed down. So this is not where you want to be. We have to go over again. So right now I'm going to go past it. We're going to see this valve is going to go back up. Now we have our intake. Okay, keep going. All right, now intake's going back up. Those 2 valves are now closed, and now our line is gonna go to the 0 mark, TDC on the compression stroke. That's what you want. Now we can install our new distributor with the ignition coil plugs facing straight back to the firewall, and we want this rotor to point to cylinder 1 now. So we'll probably have to mesh it in a little bit before that. It's kind of tricky to get this to line up. I think I got it meshed in with the gears there. Okay, down, pointing at cylinder 1. Perfect. That's where we need to be. Now we can go ahead and install our clamp, and I'll tighten up this bolt right here. Thread in, there we go. We'll have to set the timing so that bolt is a little loose, and now we can go back together with our new distributor cap. Just a couple of screws there, and I already plugged in the ignition module. Before we get too carried away, I can't forget that one spark plug, which is gonna be a lot easier to get out without the downpipe. Doubled up the wrenches for extra leverage. Okay, I was gonna say like butter, but what's the opposite of butter when something doesn't go smoothly? It's crunchy, like grape nuts? What's something else that's crunchy? I don't know. You ever think about the opposite of smooth like butter? These are the things I think about. This one's probably like never been changed. She looks a little old, that's for sure. New plug, gap down to 30 thousandths for boost power. I'm gonna go in with that, and then we could probably do a valve cover. New blue valve cover gasket. I hate when they do this. Just use black or gray gaskets. Luckily, we can't see it. All right, valve cover going on. Yes, 3 little bolts. Both valve covers are installed. And yes, I painted the intake manifold bolts to match. We have a power steering pump that goes there, and it's freshly painted bracket. Goes right there. Next, we have the fuel rail and fuel injectors, and my friends at Racetronic sent me this. It is a direct bolt-on replacement fuel pressure regulator. Look at how nice this is. I'll leave a link to Racetronics down below. Those guys are the best. Couple of Allens. This should shimmy sham right off. There we are. Now we can simply push this one back on like that. All right, just doing the final tighten on these. All new hardware. And we did have to install some spacers in here with their new screws. So I'm using the 42-pound injectors out of my old ProCharge C4 Corvette, just double checking that they're flowing well. I had no issues with these before. We're looking pretty good though, at least on these 4. I verified the other 2 fuel injectors that we're gonna be using are good. So our old C4 42-pounders are ready to go. I replaced all the seals as well. And they have the MB sunroof grease on them naturally. So we'll snap these all in. Rail with regulator is going in now, and we have new seals on these lines. So we have to thread in this one, the return first. I'll fully tighten that once it's installed. And we're just lining up the injectors right now. Rail is on, I'm just tightening up the 4 bolts. Click, all right, fuel rail is tight. Tighten up the fuel lines now. So for $100 online, I found a brand new injector harness. Look at how nice this is, especially compared to our old one that was spliced into. So this is gonna look sweet, and these are numbered too. Look at that. Injector number 2, 4, and 6. Beautiful. Now you can plug this into the factory harness. And look at this sticker on here, for Cyclone and Typhoon. Before we install the water pump, we need thread sealant on the bolts. Sometimes you gotta do that. New water pump is next. We have our new gaskets, of course. Did I thread it? I think I got it. All right, there's one. And this one has a stud on it. All right, they are started. This is already looking so much cleaner. And now it's time for another silver bracket. This one's for the AC compressor, and it slides in like this. There we are. Oh, and check it out, I cleaned up the AC lines as well. They were pretty nasty, looking mighty fresh now. AC brackets bolted up. I replaced the lower radiator hose and clamps. And now we have our freshly painted water pump pulley that's going on. There's studs on the water pump that we transferred. Just like that. Do a little bit of Loctite on these studs. 4 nuts going on. New belt tensioner going on. And it's got a little dowel so you know you're lined up. Next is the alternator. We're gonna replace this. It's not even for the Typhoon. And we're gonna install this brand spanking new. Slides right into the bracket like that. 1 bolt from the rear and a new one for the front. Wow, that looks good. With the alternator bolted up, we can install the idler pulley, and I am replacing this with a metal one. The factory, or whatever was on this, was plastic. So this will be much stronger. I freshened up our AC compressor as well. It's got this awesome factory sticker. All right, there she is. AC compressor is bolted up, so are the lines, and now we have a brand new 160-degree thermostat for added power. I've talked about this a lot in modern cars. You don't really need a lower thermostat, but this is an older car that actually has coolant running through the intake, so it will reduce the intake air temperature by a tiny little bit. It's probably worth like a solid half a pony. Then we have our freshened up thermostat housing. Goes on like that. And in all seriousness, this is a real mod in an old school car. You could gain a little bit from it. Before the upper radiator hose goes in, we will get a brand new belt. Always have your numbers and letters facing, you know, this way, not this way. That's weird. And I'll get this guy nice and situated. I just wish the white letters would stay like this forever. We're about to go back together with the turbo and the downpipe, but we have spark plug wires to deal with. And I'm gonna use these titanium sleeves on this side at least. And we'll just pop this through a little. All right, cool. So this will click on this plug, click, and I'll slide this boot on even more just to protect it from the exhaust manifold and the downpipe. Tension, bam. I ended up having to go with a little bit of a shorter belt. This one's really cool. It says made in the USA. Next is the downpipe. So I have the wastegate resealed, and we added a clamp down there because there wasn't anything when I bought it. So it's chilling right now. Slide this in. Like that. We're ready to go on the turbo, and I am using the copper RTV. I talk about this pretty much every time I use it because some people will comment saying this doesn't work. I've been doing it for like 20 years. It works great. You don't need any gaskets. It's got to be the copper stuff for high heat, and it just seals. It works. Seriously. It's turbo time. Yeah. Look at this thing. Matches the intake and stuff. No one will ever know but us and Cyclone Typhoon guys. They'll know. They'll know. Probably not the first one to do it either, but maybe I am. Here we go. Don't scratch turbo. Probably should have not tightened these AC lines when I did, but forgot. Okay, there we go. Almost passed them. Turbo has landed. Yes. All right. This looks so cool. Turbo and wastegates all bolted in. We have the oil feed as well, and a new shiny fitting there for our wastegate. And I'm moving over to the upper radiator hose. We're gonna replace this weird rusted thing. I don't know why it has this in the middle with what it should have. This is the proper hose. I must say this hose is really weird. It's massive. All right, that's on there. Is this really this long? I guess it's gotta clear the alternator. Yeah. Okay, it's time. It's time for my new favorite part of the Cyclone, the intake plenum. This turned out so good. Here you go, little buddy. You're getting it. Don't worry, Lightning, you're gonna get some love too. I'll do this kind of stuff to you. I promise I will. New gasket installed. Oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, guys. Oh yeah, oh, we have the intercooler here coming. Oh, I forgot, I'm too excited. Plenum bolts going in, and I cleaned these up, but they don't look anywhere near as good as this. It's the problem with doing that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna want those to be mint too. You guys know I'm doing it right. I have to. That's so much better. I torqued all these bolts, and now, since they're tight and torqued, I'm gonna paint them. Paint them gray. Look at that, beautiful. So we could either have that or this. I mean, what do you guys think? Oh, look at that one. Look at these. Oh, these need to be black. Just don't even start, guys. Don't even start, all right? The amount of time I've put into just painting little stuff here, I mean, it's made this project take like 10 times what it should have taken. Oh, but it's gonna be worth it. I went with the plenum color on those bolts and with these here. I think that's kind of a cool factory touch. That's totally not factory. That's Alex. Next is our throttle body going on, cleaned up. Looking good. Plug in more stuff in. Throttle position sensor, click. It's factory Garrett intercooler time, and yes, I spent like $60 on a new coolant cap because it looks so good. Mine was a little beat up. Also getting rid of the blue for a black coupler to the throttle body. Oh, perfect, perfect. Guys, this is what dreams are made of, at least my dreams. Who else has car dreams? I legit have car dreams where I wake up and I think I've fixed something that I actually didn't. It was like a project I'm in the middle of, and I dream that I fixed it, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, cool, that's done. And then I get to the shop and I'm like, oh, that was a dream. Great. Check it out, I found new hose clamps for this. Oh, that's gonna be the icing on the cake. There's a lot of little icings going on here with this cap. Restored lines, nice sticker, nice everything. So there's little odds and ends we need to do, but overall, it's all back together. And I disconnected the injector harness so that we can crank the engine and prime the oil into the turbo, and then we'll reconnect and you know, I don't know if that sounded like a good engine or a bad one. All right, battery's connected. It's time to crank. All right. Cool. I'll probably do that a couple more times just to get the oil flowing, and then we'll fire. All right, here we go, here we go. First start after everything. Come on, baby. Huh, it's not starting. All right, we got a bunch of jumper cables going on here. We're having cranking issues. It's no good. We got the jump pack connected. Let's see what happens. Oh! Yes! Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It just like runs perfect. Look at that, guys. I've made no timing adjustments whatsoever. Are you serious right now? Right off idle is perfect? A little shaky, okay. Wow. My Typhoon is alive! This is amazing. Look at it, idles down perfectly. Ooh, what does she sound like? What does she sound like? I mean, no smoke at all. That sounds pretty normal. Kind of sounds like my Buick Grand National, to be honest with you. Wow. This is absolute running perfection right now. Oh man. So to set base timing, you actually have to disconnect this plug right here first. So we do have a check engine light on, but that's normal. Hey, before our gas gauge wasn't working, now it is, so that's good. We got rid of a lot of hacked up wiring. Oil pressure looks good, battery looks good. Before our boost gauge was pegged to like 15 pounds, that's working now. Oh man, this is seriously good, guys. This is the best I've had one of these like abandoned car projects that have been sitting for 20 years type things start. I mean, like after doing a bunch of work, like usually there's some kind of issue, but this is ridiculous. And I'm boroscoping the turbo right now. That is spinning beautifully. No issues there at all. A little bit of smoke from all the paint, that's to be expected. But yeah, just looking around, we don't have any leaks at all. The belt sounds perfect. It's just perfect. I love this Typhoon. Seriously, I'm like, I was already in love before I even bought one, and now I'm just falling in love with it again. I want to like renew my vows. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. This thing runs so good. Unbelievable. All right, I checked over everything. It's looking good. Let's see how she restarts. Timing's off a little, you can tell during the crank, but it runs well. Do we have gears? All right, so that's reverse. Oh, we have reverse. Do we have drive? Woo! We have drive too. This is awesome. Oh my gosh, I have a Typhoon that runs. Does it drive? Does it drive? To get this thing like legit roadworthy, we got a lot to do, guys. I haven't looked at anything. I really want to like drop the transmission pan, check all the transfer cases. There's a lot for me to like feel comfortable. My plan was to drive it in this video, but man, we ended up doing so much that I need at least a full other day. We got to do the LegitStreetCars care package, all the fluids, like literally everything. So we should probably stop now. I've already kind of lucked out on this whole situation already. This thing was $10,000. Well, with a $1,000 tip, but that's still pretty good. So do you guys remember what this engine used to look like? Well, if you didn't, this is what it used to look like. It had a lot of surface rust. Everything was super unorganized. It was a wiring nightmare and just overall did not fit the look of a Typhoon. And so we went from all of that madness all the way to this. Now, I'm definitely not done with this engine compartment yet. We have a lot of little odds and ends to fix, to move, and to make prim and proper, but trust me, by the end of this Typhoon series, this is gonna be one of the nicest engine compartments of any car in my fleet. I think I'm gonna go even crazier than I did in this video on even more details to make it look perfect. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It's probably a long one, I can already tell before we do the edits. But if you did stick around for the whole thing, I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching all of the videos and being into the same kind of weird, quirky cars that I'm into as well. So with that, if you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, share the video with your friends and family. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's totally free. It's a little button down there and it really helps me out. But most importantly, have a fantastic day. I'll see all of you in the next video. And although mine looks pretty, and it is, and although mine looks pretty, I'm very lucky the car didn't caught on fire. Max, here's a little bit of valve cover B-roll, if you will. It's B-roll for the valve cover with a sound effect of what it looks like. And this is ew. Sorry, Max, I just hit record and forgot that I didn't get literally any tools ready. Oh, wow, that is not a 10. Was that a 9? What in the world? Just gonna keep the camera rolling for you while I walk over to my toolbox to get a 9, which is probably standard, but we're just gonna go with a 9 because that's cooler than getting a standard one. That's not a 9. All right, Max, we'll keep the camera rolling some more. We can sift through this, you know, during editing and whatnot. You know, these are the sound effects. Toolbox opening and closing a million times. What's a 9? Is it gonna be a 3/8? Let's see, Max. It is a 3/8. All right, and I don't have an extension either, so there's some more time for yous. All right, hang on. Now we're back to the video. Before we take this turbo apart, I'm describing in. Before we take this apart, I'm scribing. I ended up going with the. I went with the plenum color. All right, I've disconnected. So this is everything,